I want to ask you, so Tilly Norwood created quite a stir. And the last time, I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, the last time Tilly Norwood posted on Instagram, she has an Instagram account, was September 28th. And since that time, it kind of blew up into this huge story, controversy, Hollywood had a meltdown. Tell me how you've been feeling and what your response has been when you've been, back home making this.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a response. It was a very small trade announcement that we did in Zurich. I was totally not expecting that reaction. But I totally understand because people were misinformed about Tilly. They thought that she was going to take their jobs, right?
Right.
And in which case I would be terrified too. But that's not what we set out to do with Tilly. Tilly's meant to be an AI actor in the AI genre. So we believe firmly there are 3 genres, so traditional film and TV, animation, and AI genre, which is very close to animation. And that's where we think she should stay.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because you did liken her to actresses. You said she could be the Scarlett Johansson or Natalie Portman of her genre.
Yeah, so of the AI genre.
Of the AI. So what does that mean?
Yeah, we want her to be a big star in the AI genre. It's really Sequoia Talent, which is where the company that she's launched in, was really an IP play, because I sort of saw, I have had this production company for 10 years, and 3 years ago when ChatGPT came out, I realized where the industry was going. And so if you extrapolate that further, you also realize that we'll be looking at AI talent, AI influencers, and I'm really proud of having been trained creatively in Britain, and British talent is a huge export, and so I wanted British talent to be an export of this next AI genre, of this new creative renaissance that we're going to be in. Okay,
so Eline, why? Okay, CGI characters have been around before, right? A few years ago, there was a character, Michaela, sometimes called Lil Michaela, who had a brand deal with Prada, it had a magazine guest column, walked the red carpet for Stranger Things on Netflix. Nobody freaked out. No. So why, in your mind, why are people losing it over Tilly Norwood?
Yes, because she looks more real, right? The tech is in a new place, and that's really what we wanted to show with Tilly as well. The tech is in a very realistic phase now. You can do so much more with her. And look, with Particle 6, we were always trying to...
Your production company.
The production company, yes. So Particle 6 is very much a production company. We are there to be a force for good with AI content and helping film and TV that are, say, missing 20 or 30% of their budget. Instead of them scrapping all the exciting and expensive scenes, which is what they would probably normally do, we say, let's make it with AI and get your film greenlit and actually get more actors into work.
So, in Hollywood right now, there's a scarcity mentality. Production is way down on traditional television and film. Actors are terrified about losing their jobs. We just went through big strikes among both actors and writers. And so when someone like SAG-AFTRA, or as it's known in the UK, Equity, or the union representing actors, comes out against Tilly Norwood, what do you say?
Well, I don't disagree with them necessarily. They said she's a computer-generated character. I agree, she is a computer-generated character. Now, the fact that they also said she was based on people's likeness, that's not necessarily true. So we have tried to create a completely wholly original character with her, and there's a lot of thought and humans that went into creating her. And yes, these data models, they're trained on vast amounts of data, billions and billions of amounts of data, and I agree that they should be properly licensed and paid for to do that training. So those court cases are hopefully going to get settled. Now, going forward, the creation of it is a completely different process, right? It's about a statistical probability of a pixel being in a certain position. And eventually, there's only a fixed number of pixel positions that things can be in, right? There's a fixed number of images in the world. Eventually, it'll have been trained up on all those images, and we can then freely create to the pixel positioning that we want to create going forward. But having done this for 3 years, you also learn what the ethical ways are of prompting and getting that right image. And you make sure that you don't mention any copyrighted material in your prompts, you don't reference anything, you go from wholly original thoughts. And we have so many iterations, and it goes back and forth. We have, we started with Tilly being very airbrushed, and but very British is what we wanted. We wanted a British actress, and but we wanted her to look really real. And so there's, I think, about 2,000 photos we went through in order to find the right Tilly. And when we finally had that, we were like, okay, great, now let's recreate her. And then it was really hard to keep it consistent in the beginning. So it's a long, long period of research and development. And then her name was such a big thing because we wanted her name to be really unique. So there's no other Tilly Norwood in the world. I know Ryan Reynolds tried to find...
In his Mint mobile ads, right?
What?
In his Mint mobile ads, didn't he use...
Yes, he tried to find a Tilly Norwood. He couldn't.
Oh
he found Natalie Norwood. So it just shows the amount of work that went in behind Tilly, and that's really important.
Okay, but are you concerned at all? Because I think the reason people became worried is because Tilly is so good, right?
Yeah.
And this isn't like little Michaela coming and stealing a role from Emily Blunt, who's one of the people who spoke out about Tilly. So I know it took 15 people to create Tilly, and that's job creation. But what about what's going to happen, or do you see a future when actors we know are replaced by a Tilly or some of your other digital creations?
No, so I can see why it seems really scary. I mean, when we started working with this tech, we were like, whoa, this is so scary. So I totally get the reaction. But I think it's additive. I think we're at the cusp of a huge creative renaissance. It's like the blockbuster Kodak moment, right? You either go with it or you get left behind. And in this creative renaissance, we're going to have animation, real traditional film and TV, and AI genre. And I wouldn't, if I were in charge of the guidelines, I wouldn't let the AI actors take the real actors' jobs.
Right.
They should stay in their own. And then this is why I feel very strongly about the creative industries being in charge of these guidelines and coming with that tradition and the background of the creative industries, and how are we going to move this industry forward with this new tech, as opposed to it being imposed by the tech industry.
Well, I think we're on the cusp of some pretty consequential times in entertainment right now. There's a movie that OpenAI is doing called Critters that is going to be the first full theatrical release of an animated AI-generated movie. And we've called it at the Ankler Pixar for AI. And that's scary to people, but what you're saying, I think, is that you don't see Tilly acting side by side necessarily with human actors, or where does she fit in?
What I think is more likely to happen is that real actors would like to be in the AI genre and have a digital twin of themselves in the AI genre. Because we've already had those requests in, we're already working with some top talent on creating a digital twin of themselves, only with explicit consent and fair compensation.
Well, I think, people I don't think everyone knows this. Like, there's so much of this happening already that the consumer is not aware of. So can you just walk us through some of...
Yeah, so say you're an elderly actor and you still want to be in a film. We can do that. If you want to be an actor and you want to be in a certain commercial at the same time you're filming in 2 other films, you can do that now. So it might increase the income of those actors. We also have young actors who've never acted before that want their likeness to be used in AI genre. So I think slowly the actors will start to realize it might be a positive thing for them as well. It's additive, so it should be in both will grow.
Well, I think you told me when we were talking beforehand that we are seeing advertising. There are things that already have digital twins that we might not even be aware of.
Yeah, yes, that is happening.
Which is incredible. So, okay, what is the business model of Tilly now? So you've created her. Are you making money on her yet?
So we have said no to many of the opportunities that have come her way.
Such as?
Like starring in a feature film, with real actors and things, because that was not what she was intended for. We very much want her to focus on her own development and her own story, so that's really where we're going to be, working with her. The business model is, just like any IP or brand, like a Marvel universe, that's really what we want to be creating.
Okay, I'm going to ask you some strange questions about Tilly. Okay, does Tilly have agency? Can Tilly, I think we're seeing AI develop faster than people's imaginations. So can Tilly go to a set and riff with actors? Give a director notes back? How far are we pushing Tilly?
Okay, so we want to take our time, because I think it takes a long time for people to get used to this new AI era that we're in, and they need time to get their heads around it. I think a lot of people have already started thinking in the past month, and it's opened conversations, and it's allowed more people to come out and tell what they're doing with AI. But we see Tilly as an onion. We've done the outer edge of her, what she looks like. We're now working on the layers underneath, and we want her to be a 3D character, just like you would want to write a fully created character in any script. So we're creating her personality and her brain, and we're going further into that. Yeah.
Okay, is Tilly going to age? Is she going to get older?
She can get older if we want her to, yeah.
Okay, and then one of the things in Hollywood and entertainment is, you mentioned Marvel. Disney owns Marvel. They want to own their own IP. They want to own their characters. Is Tilly for sale?
Eventually, I would hope that somebody might want to buy her or not. We monetize the universe well.
Right. So then there's certain things, and I think in one of the posts on Tilly's Instagram, I'm talking about her like she's real, but there was a fully AI created development meeting, I believe, where one of the male development executives, I think he says, I love it, she'll do anything I say, which you can see how that can get dark. It's not in the video that you made, but
clearly, yeah, I clearly come from a comedy satire background.
But what's to stop Tilly Norwood or the next digital characters? Will they do nudity? Will they do pornography? What are there boundaries that you feel as the creator of Tilly you can impose?
Yes, so this is why the onion is so important. It's like bringing up a child, really. You want to give them good guardrails in place, morals and values before you let them loose into the world. And it's sort of the same with an AI character. You want them to have those guardrails in place. And as just like with any IP, you would want to be in control of the IP and decide whether or not to do nudity with them or not. Yeah.
You also have mentioned to me that there are some cases where maybe AI actors are preferable, but not necessarily in the ways we're thinking about employment. So can you expound on that at all?
I would love to leave people with this thought that have a think. It's a thought experiment, which I love a thought experiment. In which instances might it actually be more ethical to use an AI actor? I don't want to put any thoughts into people's mind. I would just like people to think about that.
Can I make a point on that?
You can think about it.
We at the Ankler we've written extensively about my partner Richard Rushfield has written extensively about the amorality of using child actors. So I will, there are also many instances of extreme animal abuse in certain films. I will leave it at that. So I'll fill in that blank. Now, what do you think the audience's appetite is? The metaverse, I think, is kind of a bust, right? What do you think the appetite is for an audience to relate to and value, artificially generated content?
So I love all sorts of storytelling. I love, verbal storytelling, written storytelling, any type of artistic storytelling, performance art, animation, live action, and AI genre. And I think it's the story that's really important in the end.
Now, what happens? I'm going to play out sort of the doomsday scenario in Hollywood's mind, which is part of why they're freaking out. So if Critters opens, Critters is going to the Cannes Film Festival next year, which is a huge achievement. And so what happens if Critters is an enormous hit? What is the takeaway? My feeling is the takeaway from Hollywood is, oh, forget those actors and, humans. This is the way we make more money.
So Critters is animation.
Yes.
Right? So it falls into the animation category, I'd say. But I would be really up for there being an AI genre. Now, animation and AI genre, I guess, maybe be merged in this instance. I don't know what they're going to do. But I would say with traditional filmmaking, I wouldn't merge those two quite yet. I think there'll be a lot of assistance from AI in traditional film and TV. But I would definitely have a separate genre for AI.
Okay.
But it's a new art form. It's really very creative, very different. It takes a lot of hard work to get anything good out of there.
Absolutely. Now, one of the reasons the Tilly controversy caught on fire was because what seemed like almost an innocuous statement. You said that Tilly, that you're talking to agents about representing Tilly, and in the weird way media works, that became the thing that lit the fuse. And so I have to ask you, where are those discussions now with Tilly and agencies?
Yes. Look, I didn't think it was that controversial because Little Michaela was signed by CAA in 2020, and
yes.
Other agencies were attached to her before. So that was the path that we thought was the natural progression for Tilly to go down. We're still having those discussions. She's in a whole different space now, though. She's more famous than she was before. So I still think it's a vital role for brand and any other deals that could be done. But yeah, there might be someone who starts to specialize as an agency in AI actors or AI influencers or characters. So maybe that might be a good fit. So
I'll ask you point blank, has CAA, WME, or UTA, the three big Hollywood agencies, have you had discussions about Tilly with any of them?
I won't comment on that.
Okay, I will say, and I'll point out that CAA did sign. Little Michaela is a client there. I don't know if she still is, but they have been in that space before. So I will point that out. Okay, so then I think I want to just close on where is Tilly, what's the future of Tilly, and give us sort of this preview of how fast the technology is happening, and where is Tilly, what can Tilly do in a year from now?
Yes. So I think the whole AI space is going to be completely transformative in the next year. I think people also start to see the positives of it, it can reduce carbon footprint up to 90%, it can be used as a force for good, it can get more made. I think there'll be more characters popping up.
I think I just want to point out, you also have said that it can reduce a budget on a film by 50%, AI, yeah. Not characters, but that's being implemented wide now.
Yes, and I encourage that. So a traditional film or a TV series, by using AI, say we go through the whole shot list and we go, right, these establishing shots, these animal shots, these are all the things we can do with AI, therefore reducing the budget by 50% and the timeline as well by 50%. And you actually have more budget and time for the actor scenes. That's really important.
Wait, but back, sorry, I interrupted you. What is Tilly going to be like a year from now?
And Tilly, I think she's going to have a very exciting 2026. She will make way more appearances. There's going to be a lot of development around her.
And will Tilly be able to think on her own and act on her own?
She will, yes.
Oof, okay. Well, that's like a little scary to me.
You may be sitting here with Tilly next year.
Well, that would be amazing.
Not me, which would be great.
All right, Eline, thank you very much.
Great.